Joining us now, she is, of course, the head coach at our alma mater at Villanova, fresh off another Big East Conference championship, regular season and tournament championship, as well as a trip, first time ever, to the regional final. Most wins in a postseason for Villanova softball program. Of course, she has helped lead this program to 3 of the last 4 Big East championships. Our good friend of the show, Bridget Orchard, joining us here on In the Circle on D1 Softball. That's a good title you added there. More jewelry from this past year, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
Tell me about it. When you reflect back on last year, 33 wins, a program record, 19 conference wins in the regular season, winning the regular season title, winning the Big East tournament, and then I remember we spoke the week of when you got assigned to Fayetteville, and I will never forget what you said, that it's not just good enough to be at a regional, it's to do something, make some noise. And boy, you made some noise getting to her first ever regional final. When you reflect on all that, what comes to your mind now that you've had time to reflect?
Then I just think I'm excited for the players. Happy for the players. They put all the work in. They train so hard and they prepare to be there. And I think the confidence, they knew they could do it. So I think I just reflect on kind of how confident they were and how they made that happen. Because obviously physically, but I think it's big mentally. And I think their mental game was so strong last year, just being able to handle the pressure, handling, the success that they've had, the failures they've had. I think that kind of all came together full circle getting to that regional.
What was it about that team? Because I remember when I spoke to you that there was a tone difference. Because I interviewed you before. I remember, I've spoken to you before regionals before. I remember in Orlando in 2022. You were excited to be there. You had Paige and everything, but you didn't know what to expect. This one was different. The tone I sensed was different. That hey, this is not just about showing up. It's about why was that team in particular? Did you feel confident that they can make the run that they ended up doing?
I think because they had the experience and they had the loss. They dealt with the loss the year before. They dealt with that pain and suffering. And they, I remember Tess Sight saying, "Oh, I didn't even know that it felt like this." And I was like, "Yeah, it sucks losing." So I think that they kind of had the experience of winning a championship, of losing a championship, and so now they knew the difference. And I think that they knew, the worst thing that can happen is you lose. So I think the experience out there, they played really loose. They played confident. We had some early season wins. We had some our bad losses. I think they've gone through everything this season. We had 3 fifth-year seniors again that have been here, done that multiple times, and then we had 5 seniors. So we had 8, upperclassmen, so to say, that have definitely been there, done that, knew what they were doing. So I was pretty confident going in that mentally they were going to be in the right spot. They were going to come out and they were going to compete, and they weren't going to give up.
Take me through that regional. Obviously, it was a tough region. You had Arkansas as the host to Arizona, who you've become really familiar with during postseason for some reason. It just kind of works out that way. I mean, I remember I think it was the first time, right? You got into the tournament,
Yep.
you had to go to Arizona. And I remember I
Yep.
asking you about there, like, oh, we get to go to one of the most famous parks. So let's. But here we are. You get to that situation. You lose the first game, but you bounce back. You get to play Arkansas, the host, and you knock them out to get to that regional final. Take me through that day where you won a couple of games after losing that first game.
Yeah, I think it's again, credit to the team for being resilient. We got our butts kicked that first day, and it would have been really easy kind of pack it in, feel bad for yourself and say, "Oh, we lost the game," but they didn't. I think they believed in themselves. They fought. They wanted to get that first win. And once you get that first win, it's big going to that second one. So now you're coming off our game versus Arkansas. We were coming off a win. They were coming off a loss. So I think that's a big deal coming in. They're. I think we caught them. While they're still kind of pissed that they lost the game before that. So we're coming in kind of confident and excited to win, and they're kind of a little down because they just lost the game. They know, oh, now we have to go beat them twice tomorrow to get there. So I think they were kind of in their own heads before that game even started, which was again to our advantage. And I think our girls were kind of still playing on adrenaline. The game that we won was a close game, so they're flying off of that. And I think everybody, I mean, during the game, I think I kind of might have blacked out a few times myself, so it's a good thing I wasn't playing. But it really kind of was like a blur. We just went out there and they played free and loose, and we played in their stadium before. We played, I think, having the games against Arizona helped. Our 5th-year seniors played there when they were freshmen. They got some big wins down there. They beat Baylor down there and they beat Florida State. So I think that they knew they can play with these types of teams, and they all know it's softball, so anything can happen. So I think they're kind of riding off that as well.
I remember it was a late night too in Fayetteville, wasn't it? Like you had played a late night because I was in Tallahassee. That was a late night in itself. But then I'm like, oh wait, they're just as late as there. What was it like when you got that final out? If you will, you got that win. I know you had a quick turnaround. Was your focus on okay? Now we're going to get to a regional final in Arizona, but yet there's a moment there. It's a historical moment to get to a regional final. What did it mean that
Oh, it's
to
just
get to
huge.
that
Like you
program.
said, I think for the program, it's huge. And I think I've talked about it with you many times of just the experience and the confidence of knowing you can do it. And the preseason is so hard and so tough. And we always grind through that. And I always kind of preach that that's going to matter. That's going to matter at the end of the year. That's going to matter at the end of the year. And this is, one of the times that it actually mattered. And that, opening up at Georgia Tech and playing Alabama and playing tough teams, it paid off in the end. So I think that for the whole program, for me, my coaching this year's team, it's huge to say like, hey, this is why we play those games, and it's why we don't really play great at the beginning of the season, and we challenge ourselves, and we kind of get humbled a lot early on. It pays off in the end. So I think it kind of proved my point to them that it's going to mean something to go play in these big stadiums early preseason, and our record is going to be great. We'll probably start off like 2-10, but at the end of the day, what matters is what happens in May. And I kind of reach that all the time, hoping that I'm right. And it really was cool to kind of see that happen just for future of, any mid-major, obviously, but especially Villanova.
So now you have that remarkable year, that milestone moment for the program. Now you come to the fall. You have some of those players back. You do lose some leadership. You have some
Mhm.
new faces. How has the fall gone? What was the approach in the fall? Because as you know, I'm sure there was some celebration. I would assume you all got honored at some point during the fall. But at the same time, that's in the past. So how do you balance all that out?
Yeah, I think it's going to be big. I'm really, really excited. I think more than I've ever been for a season this year because it's going to be so different. Like I said, we lost 8. We lost 7 because Brooklyn came back for fifth year. So we had 7 graduate, didn't come back this year. So it is a brand new, we have 5 freshmen, 1 transfer. So we have 6 new players out there. Some of the returners that are coming back didn't get an opportunity to play that much last year. Now they're going to be called upon, to kind of play a lot. So I'm excited just to kind of see how they step up and rise to the occasion. It's going to be a very, very different season where the last, I would say 2 or 3 seasons have been very similar. We've had the same, like I said, same players, same cast of characters. They knew the expectations. They knew what we were trying to do. This year, it's a whole new ballgame. We have to explain so much to them and talk to them a lot more. And so they understand kind of what we're trying to do. Like I mentioned, the preseason schedule, it's really, really hard again. It's probably one of the hardest ones we've ever played, which is kind of crazy because this is probably the most inexperienced team I've ever coached. It's going to be on the field. We're going to have a lot of freshmen that are just going to be, thrown to the fire right off the get go. We're going to probably have a freshman leadoff batter. We'll probably have a freshman number 4 batter. We'll have them out on the field. We'll have a pitcher that's a freshman. That's big to go down there. We're going to play down at Texas A&M. We'll play Baylor. We're going to Florida Atlantic. We're going to Clemson. We're going to Virginia Tech. So they're going to get, real, real fast. And it's probably our toughest schedule and our most inexperienced team. So I'm excited about it. But come talk to me. March 1st, I might not be anymore, but we'll see.
It's a marathon. Wow, that's a who's list he just ran off there. Um, let's talk. So you mentioned some of the new faces. Let's talk about positions here. Let's start with the pitching staff because I thought one of the keys about your team last year that was allowed you to make that regional finals. You had more depth pitching than you ever had before. In the past you would depend on a Page, for example, to carry the load. But last year you had like up to 4 arms that I believe won 6 or more games.
Mm-hmm.
What does the pitching staff look like this year? You mentioned a freshman you're going to depend on, but tell us a little bit about the staff, how it'll look this year.
Yeah, we have a similar staff. They're just not as experienced. We have 6 pitchers again. We have 3 coming in as freshmen, but again, they're freshmen. So you can't replace a Carolyn Pelicano, Alyssa Seidler, like seniors that've been there, done that, 4 years, kind of going through the grind, going through all that. So you're not gonna replace them. They're just gonna try to do their best out there and learn. And hopefully, we are successful this year, but it's also preparing us for their sophomore, junior, seniors as they're here. So it's different. It is the same. Last year was, like you said, to have a season like that, you need to have, Caroline come in and close games. We started Kat Gallant, who's back, our returning probably number 1 right now. She's a junior. Last year, she won that Arkansas game and she didn't pitch an inning in the Big East tournament and she beat Arkansas. So it kind of shows you how much depth we had and how much confidence we had in our pitchers. And they were such a great staff because they helped each other out. She could have easily, been upset and disappointed. She wanted to pitch, but she was happy for her teammates and she was happy to see their success. And then it led to her success. So I think they all kind of leaned on each other and they knew they were going to start games, finish games, close games, have good games, have bad games. And I think that helped them because they relaxed and they knew somebody had their back. So I'm really looking to her to lead our staff this year. Her and Kelsey White was a senior. Again, ton of experience, plays outfield, hits, pitches, does a little bit of everything. So those 2 are kind of going to be our anchors getting in there. And then we're going to throw, Lexi Coburn, of our freshman. She'll probably be another starter out there. So we're going to have to lean on her. Miranda Runko is a returner coming back as a sophomore. We got Maddie Burns and Sophia Mount coming in as freshmen as well. And again, they had good falls. They kind of got them through the season in the fall, throw a lot of innings, did a lot of inter squad scrimmaging, took their lumps here and there, but I think that they're getting ready. And obviously, our pitching coach, Grace Fagan, tons of credit to her. What she did with our staff last year, and what she has her hands full this year, kind of getting them, like you said, how are you going to repeat last year? It's going to be hard.
Yeah, she was pretty good at first year and her pitching coach last year. What was it that you saw in her when you added her to the staff?
She's a Jersey kid. No, I actually recruited her, which shows how old I am. So I recruited her to Fordham. She obviously went to Mississippi State. She was looking to go play SEC, and obviously a big, tall lefty, very talented. But her experience of playing in the SEC, I love that. But it's the same thing. She's a Jersey girl. She loves the East Coast. She can relate to the players. She's big on their spin and just teaching them different. And every pitcher she works with differently. Getting them to understand. And I think the side it was big last year. Again, haven't been there, done that. I hadn't pitched on the mound in 20 years, so it's hard for me to be like, oh, I know what this feels like. Where she absolutely can say like, this is what it feels like. Her big things like, so what, and she pitched in the SEC, so balls went out of the park a lot, and they had to have that short-term memory. And so what. So when these girls kind of get upset, or if they're getting hit or can't throw strikes, she's really, really good at kind of getting them right back in the mindset and getting out there and win games.
Of course, pitching success goes with good defense behind you, and I think that's something that I know you take pride in. I thought was another part of your success is defense. How does your defense look like, especially when you're going to have to depend on some youngsters to play some of these key defensive positions? How are we looking there?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be good. We're the same up the middle. So we return our center fielder, our shortstop, and our second baseman. Obviously, we're gonna miss the catching. We'll have a freshman behind there. We had Allie for 5 years, so that's gonna be a big loss there. Just again, the experience and obviously the talent. So we'll have a young pitching catching, and then the corners we have Grace Reed, a sophomore coming back at third, who played a little bit last year. We had Chloe Smith, and then we have freshman Jackie Moore that can play there as well. Kendall Spivey can play there. So we have a couple of options at third base. And then over on the Brooklyn Ostrowski took over a little bit at first base last year. We had fifth year. Tori Sebastian got hurt midway through the year and really struggled with her groin injury. Played as much as she possibly could give us up until the last out. She played a lot, but it allowed Brooklyn to get some experience under her and learn from Tori. So I think Brooklyn's ready to go this year as kind of the leader and kind of take Tori's spot from last year's kind of leading that infield.
Offensively, you had power in your offense. You do lose some of that power through graduation there. How do you, I mean, you don't replace that, but I know you got other players that step up, and you do return a big bat that I'm sure is one of your leaders there.
Yeah. I mean, that's I said. We're definitely not as powerful. And it's just little thing, like pitch selection, things that freshmen do that our upperclassmen, were able to do, and freshmen are still learning how to do that. What pitches they got to hit, what pitches they can hit hard. So that's gonna be a process. They're still learning that. Hitting coach Gabby Ludy is on that with them and doing that. But even their strength, even the weight room, we're getting them, hopefully getting them a lot bigger and stronger so they can have some of that power. But I'm not going to replace like a Tess Sites. You're just not going to have that speed and power and experience and just her mentality and her drive. That's really, really hard to replace. We're not trying to make a new Tess Sites. We're just trying to make the players we have as good as they possibly can be. And their potential is really there to be as good, if not better, in the future. But it's going to take some time.
So, who are your leaders that you'll lean on offensively to lead the youngsters?
Brooklyn Ostrowski is a fifth year senior, so it's kind of all on her. So, like I said, last year we had 8 kind of seniors, grad students. We're like, wow, we have so many cooks in the kitchen. Now we have one. We have one grad student, and I think she's ready for. But we also have, we have our 4 seniors, like Ava Franz, who's plays shortstop, leader on the field, leader up there, Kelsey White, senior on the field, Alexa Raphael. So I think that they're going to kind of be able to do that together. Elena Wagner, who's kind of been through everything. She's a senior this year, and she came in as an infielder, didn't play much her freshman, sophomore year, hit last year. We put her in right field, and she's an outfielder now because she hits. So she won that spot last year and was an all-conference player, all-regional player as a right fielder, and had never played there until she started hitting beginning of last year during our spring. So the 4 of them, the 4 seniors, and then obviously Brooklyn are who we're looking to kind of lead our young crew.
Franz had a great year for you, adding to that power. Speak of her development and the kind of player that she is, because I thought she went under the radar a little bit, because I thought Sites got a lot of, and rightfully so, Sites got a lot of
Right.
attention and credit, but Franz was equally as important, valuable, and really had a great 1-2 punch there. I think he combined for 19 home runs between the two of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's unbelievable. Like I said, I keep forgetting that she's a senior, because I feel like I'm going to have her forever. And no, this is her last year. She had an unbelievable fall. She was batting like over 560 in the fall. And just like I said, a leader get up there very confident, knows pitch selection, knows what she can hit, knows what she can't hit. Solid, obviously defensively that rolls over into her offense. So I think that she's going to be ready to go and kind of help the younger players. And she's been the same thing, ups and downs, has been a freshman before, didn't get to play, played a little bit, then started playing as her sophomore year, had a great junior year. So hopefully her senior year, she's just going to build on that experience and use that to help the younger girls.
Of the new faces, who are some names? I mean, you feel like a lot of them going to contribute right away. How do you feel they'll contribute offensively? Are you talking more athletic, more speed? What do they bring to the table? And who are some names that Wildcat fans will get to know?
From our freshmen,
Yeah.
yeah, so Ava Mankins, we have another Ava, they'll probably bat one too, but she's a catcher. So freshman catcher, we had her leading off all fall. She can bat anywhere from one. She can go down and be number 9 hitter, number 3 hitter. She has a little speed and power, which is crazy. As as a catcher, she does have speed offensively as well, but she has a lot of pop. She had her first home run in the fall season this year, so she has a lot of pop to the bat. Jacqueline Mora, who's also a freshman, plays third, plays short, kind of infielder left side. She's probably one of our bigger power hitters. She hit 4 for us. She's one of our strongest kids, and she's only a freshman, so we see a lot of great things in her future. As far as offensively, those are the two that I think are really gonna carry us as freshmen coming in. And obviously we have Ava and Elena and Brooklyn and Kelsey White, obviously going to be in there hitting the ball as well.
How do you balance as a coach? And you've done it. You're one of the best at it. So I'm always fascinated how you do it. In that, on the one hand, you're developing these young players, not just for this year, but for the long term. And there's a process that comes with that. That means patience. That means ups and downs that is coming. Like no matter what you do, how much you prep them, they're going to make their mistakes. You got to play them through. On the other hand, the standard's super high. You're playing for trophies. That's the standard you have built there. How do you balance all that?
Yeah, I think, I lean a lot on the girls to do that, the upperclassmen understanding, with Lily St. Jean, who's, you know, one of our best hitters as well. That she, hit 3 in our lineup last year. She played second base, but she's so quiet, just kind of works on her game, doesn't talk a lot. So you kind of forget about her as well because you're like, oh, she just kind of goes there and every day she gets it done. So we have people like that don't talk a lot when we're around, but I think does a lot behind the scenes. They do a lot behind the scenes, and I think they lead by example. So we kind of lean on them to show them this is how it is. Now it's like you said, it's an expectation for our program that we're not just trying to get to the Big East tournament. We're trying to win the Big East tournament. And after that, we're not satisfied with just winning the Big East tournament. We want to go to the regionals. We want to go to, like I said, a regional finals. And now, hey, we got our eyes. We want to get to a super regional. Got to get to a super regional. I think that's in their mindset. So we're kind of reaching high, and then hopefully they can get there. But we're definitely never satisfied with, winning a regular season. We preach that a lot. We talk about this stuff a lot. I think some coaches don't talk about it. I talk about it a lot. They know what RPI is. They know why we're playing these teams early. They know what an at-large bid is. They know what your seating needs to be. They understand that. We have a selection show. They have ideas of where we're getting sent or who we're going to play. And I think the more knowledge they have, the better it is.
Did you all know you're going to be a 3 seed going to Fayetteville in selection?
No. I said we know what it is, but we're not really good at it.
Well, it's hard because you can fly anywhere. There's the one year we kind of predicted you were going to Arizona, but otherwise it's kind of
sometimes you can figure out, but other times you're not really sure. We won the regular season, but we didn't have any big wins early on, and it was hard. It was hard to figure that out. But I think it's kind of one way of them understanding. Like now athletes want to know why you're doing stuff. They don't just do it. When I played, they come and do it and I get it. Now right. They want to know why they're doing the drill or why they're hitting here or why they're not taking reps or who's pitching and why. And the same thing with like our schedule, like why we're playing. Sometimes you got to educate, your parents or your administration and everybody else in the same thing too. Like this is why we're playing these teams early on and this is what it means and this is why. So they just understand that it's like, there is a method to our madness, and every year we go over it. So our seniors are kind of sick of hearing it because they could probably do the whole speech, but they understand this is why and this is what we're doing. And we're going to take small victories. The year before we went out and played Stanford. So like, this is what you want to do. You want to see these best pitchers that you could possibly face. Like last year we opened up at Alabama. We got no hit. We only lost 3-0. We got no hit, but then we beat Georgia Tech the next day. So they got to see it immediately how that's going to help us. And so now I think that they get it a little bit.
When we first talked to you, when I talked to you back when you took the job, going back to your alma mater, because it's tough to leave Fordham. You built that program.
Yeah.
I remember your goal was to put Villanova on the map in softball and at the high standard, kind of where you have it now. Was it, now that you look back during this time, did it go like you thought it would go? Did it take you longer? Did it go quicker than you thought the success? How would you evaluate it? If I would have asked Bridget Orchard back when you took the job day one, that this would be where you're at today, what would have been your response?
It's hard. I mean, I want to say, yeah, I knew that, and then it was exactly on time as planned. But yeah, you never know. You never know what you're going to get. Obviously, it helped having the athletes that we were able to get to come here and to perform and to play, and having our fifth years here last year. Again, bringing a Pedro out with you right up the get go helps. Go to the champion. We've been in the conference championship every single season, so that helps. And would I expected that? No, not that fast for sure. Not to never. Every year, even our first year, we got to do that. So I think that helped with obviously building what we have, because it set the standard from the very first year that they knew that's what we want to do, and this is what our expectations are. We're not happy to get to the tournament. We want to do some stuff when we get there. So I think they understood that, and it's a lot of it's just confidence and belief. Believing you can do it, confident you can do it, and then seeing results. That's huge too. And I think we've just gotten the right kids in here at the right time, and they've all bought in, and they all know what they want to do, and they work their butts off. They really, really do a lot of work when we're not around. Before practice, after practice, they do a lot of stuff on their own. And again, that's just credit to them, and I guess to us, just finding these kids that are willing to kind of gel and fit together and put in the work they need to do, and they're really focused on softball, which is awesome.
And I know alumni has been a factor, administration has been a factor, facilities. We've talked about that. Tell the audience that may not be following you closely. There have been some behind the scenes work with the facilities, alumni step in. How has that gone for you? Because that was another goal of yours when you came back to Villanova, is getting the alumni involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a little easier because I'm an alumni, so I have to get all my teammates out there to support us and to show up. And they have been, they've been great, and they're behind us, and we kind of feel their presence. We know they're there. And now, obviously, I've had girls that I've coached that are now alumni, which helps again them coming back, and they show up to games. And Tess was out to our fall games up in Binghamton this year. So I mean, just seeing them come back and showing support, I think definitely helps the younger girls. And like I said, helps the whole program do what we're trying to do. Facilities, we're still knocking on that door, trying to get some more things done. But at the same time, it was a similar to how I was at Fordham, where it's like, we're going to win without this stuff. We might not have the fancy locker rooms and this fancy, big scoreboards and that, but we're kind of grinding, and we're going to win in spite of that. So I think that's kind of been our method. But obviously, we'd love to have some of the bells and whistles, and we're still pushing and pushing and pushing. But I think that's one of the things that makes us who we are. And we bring recruits in. I think that's a tough thing. We bring them in, and we don't have the facilities that a lot of these Power Fours have. So you kind of they have to understand when they're coming here, they're not going to have that stuff and be okay with it.
Well, it's kind of like the old, like the myth, right? That if you're a Northeast program, you can't compete in softball. Clearly, you have proven that over multiple places. That is not accurate. There's been others that have stepped up in that during that time frame as well. But isn't that part of it too? Is you can come, the players realize, yeah, we can be something special here, build a powerhouse here in the Northeast.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of what we're selling. I mean, we sell winning. We're like, you're going to win more than you're going to lose. And we want kids that want to win more than they want to have a fancy locker room. And that's kind of the kids we get. We're going to get these grinders that aren't worried about all these things and all this fancy stuff. They're worried about, can I play? Can I compete? Can we win? Are we going to play the best teams in the country? Yep, you're going to play in the best stadiums. We're going to play the best teams in the country, and we're going to be playing hopefully late into May. And I think that those are the kind of kids that we want, and those are the kind of kids that we get.
What do you expect from the Big East in 2025? It's a new face at DePaul now, with alum themselves taking over there. Certainly, Connecticut's always been a team in the mix there. Seton Hall. I mean, what do you expect from 2025 in the Big East?
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I think there's so much parity. I think everybody has a lot of pieces coming back. They have new pieces coming in. Like I said, new coach at DePaul is an alumni who, is close to my heart, that I love going back and coaching at your alma mater. So I think that'll be awesome. I just think it's a huge advantage coaching, where you've played and knowing the people there. Creighton, I think, is my top dog right now, obviously, because we played them in the championship game last year, and they were really, really good, and they were young. So what's scary about them is now they're going to have that experience that they didn't have last year. So I think they're right up there. Seton Hall is always good. They're returning pitching. So I definitely think, you said UConn. I mean, they have the bells and whistles, and they have great players, great coaching. So they're always going to be in the mix as well. So you can't even count out some of the other people. Butler, they beat us every year. So they're always in that mix. But I definitely would put up, if I had to pick my top right now, I would put Creighton up there, because I think they have the players and they have the experience.
Yeah, Krista's done a good job building that program back up. I mean, it's not her alma mater, but she's from that area, so no surprise that she's building that
Absolutely.
program the way it is. Because I know there's always chatter on the conference tournament and the format and locations. Where are we with that? Is that still going to be on campus each year? Is it going to be
Yeah, so
eventually
we're
neutral
hosting
site?
this year.
Ah, there you go. See, I set you up.
We're hosting, so we have Villanova this year. I don't
About
know if I'm
time.
excited or not. Yeah, it'll be great. I'm excited about it. A lot of work to put in, like you said, with the facilities and just the practice sites, and getting the bells and whistles that make it a conference. I want it to be a good experience, a good postseason event. So I'm working on behind the scenes trying to get that so it's first class for everybody as far as hotels and food and the media and all that kind of stuff. So we're working behind the scenes to get that done, but I think it's going to be exciting. And there's, like I said, there's 6 teams that get in. So that went up. I guess a few years ago, we got 6 in instead of the 4. So that should stay the same, I'm hoping. But who knows with all these changes that are happening, what's going to happen. But right now it is going to think, I don't even know where it is next year, honestly. I know we have it this year. Maybe going out to Chicago, maybe at UConn. I'm not sure if we made a decision on that or not.
But for now, the thought process stay on within each school hosting rotating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I think they want to try to maybe go like east to west. I think that's what I'm thinking it might be. I think Creighton's going to put in. I think they're getting
Sure.
some new stuff. I think they're going to put into host. So you got to put in and then they vote on it. And I think if not next year, maybe the year after, they'll look to do it and then probably go back to, I don't know, the Paul if they're going to want to do it again or not. But I know that they've done it a lot.
As the head coach of the host school of the conference tournament, what's the number one thing you make sure that it gets accomplished? Because you've been at many conference tournaments, and I'm sure there are things that kind of in the back of your mind, like, oh boy, I wish we had this, or maybe we should wish they would do this for the conference. Or what's the one or two things you're like, all right, we got to make sure that all the schools are taken care of with blank.
Well, we need good weather. that's that's my friend. We used to say when I was at Fordham and Elaine Sortino was at UMass, we'd always say she can control the weather. So we need somebody to do that for us. So I think that's the big thing. But I think just being, feeling prepared, making sure they get the right practice time slots in there, that they, have enough equipment in the facility, they feel comfortable. Obviously, the hotels can't really do a ton about that, but you want to be close to campus. You want them to be able to get there and come back. And obviously, fans, I want the seating to make sure it's a good atmosphere. We'd love to pack the stands and have a lot of people. That UConn always did a great job with that, just having a lot of people. They had a hill out there you can watch. It just gave you a really good championship vibe. So Providence did a great job last year getting a lot of people out to watch. So hopefully getting a lot of fans there and having the teams feel, that they're prepared and you have, good facilities for them.
Will you allow yourself, and I know it's a long way from here, so maybe you haven't even thought about it, but when you host that tournament, will you take a moment at some point to take a peek and kind of take a breath and like, wow, this is pretty cool? So I remember I asked Tim Walton about this when Florida just recently hosted the SEC tournament and they had just done renovations and everything, and he told me that he was literally in his office watching another SEC tournament game, and it hit him that, wow, we're hosting the SEC tournament, and just all the compliments that the other coaches were giving him. It sends pride there, and of
Yeah.
pride that of all the hard work, all the years it paid off. Do you? And he took a
Oh,
moment
yeah.
to take it all in.
Oh yeah,
It's
definitely. I love that. Yeah. I mean, you hope it isn't like when you're in the 1 and 2 get by. So you kind of really hope for that one that you get to buy, but it's also, that's the time you can kind of watch the
sure.
games. And that's when you think you'll kind of watch, be like, wow, this is hopefully a first class tournament. Hopefully we're getting compliments from the other coaches and they feel like it's a championship environment and the Big East is happy with the product that we put out there. So hopefully that's what it is, but definitely a sense of pride knowing that like, hey, we're renting lights. So we're going to have lights for the first time at Villanova. We're renting the bleachers for the outfield seating. We have the video scoreboard. So we have a lot of stuff that, like you said, that we didn't have when I first got here. We had a grass field and we had a see-through fence. Things were falling down. So definitely to see it all come together would be really cool.
Right, because obviously Bridget Orchard, the coach, is focused on the X's and O's, but there's Bridget Orchard, the alum, Bridget Orchard that played. That's that pride, and your teammates. You mentioned your teammates, alums. There's a pride that they're going to sense there as well that you help contribute to that.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. Yeah, definitely. I love having them come back and for them to see it, it's going to be huge too.
My last question, obviously now, between now and February, and then once February gets going, the season gets going. What are some questions or things you're looking forward to finding out about this team that you may not know until you see other opponents when it counts for real in
Yeah,
February, or
I
questions?
yeah, I think my thing is the gut check. How can they handle the failure? I think that's my big question right now. How are you going to handle, getting a ball hit 400 feet off you as a pitcher? How are you going to handle striking out 3 times in the same game? How are you going to handle that? Because they've had so much success. This team has, individually and team wise. So I want to see how they handle it and can we bounce back? Because that's what last year's team was able to do. They were able to take their lumps. We went out to Creighton and took 2 out of 3 from us, and they were able to handle that. When we played them again, they had just as much confidence the Big East tournaments they had. Normally, somebody beats you 2 or 3 times, you're not real confident. But last year's team was able to do that. Again, they've been there, done that. I'm just huge on that experience piece. So I want this team to be able to kind of hopefully learn quick, how to take your lumps that first weekend or even the first day, and then come back and win the next day, and how you handle that failure. And I was kind of turn that around, learn from your mistakes, and just move on. So I think that's going to be a big question for this team. And like you said before, leadership. What our girls are going to step up and lead. And we're asking a lot out of our, 1 5th year Brooklyn. And Ava's, she can be playing shortstop, she can play herself. It's her senior year. Kelsey White's her senior year. Like it's going to be hard. I think sometimes it's hard to lead and also kind of focus on yourself at the same time. So they're going to have to do a little more than they're used to doing, which I think they will embrace it, but it'll be different. It'll be a different look for them because they're used to kind of sitting back and letting somebody else lead. So I think that they're going to have to change a little bit.
That is Villanova head coach Bridget Orchard, Big East Coach of the Year, Regional Coach of the Year. I mean, the accolades keep moving up and up. I mean, at the rate we're going, every year you come in, we're just going to be reading off accolades. That'll be the entire podcast, Coach. But no, seriously, hey, listen, congrats on the success last year. Thanks for always coming on with us. I love our yearly traditional get together. Good luck this upcoming year, and I'm sure we'll catch up during the year. But in the meantime, thanks for always coming on here on In the Circle on D1 Softball.
No problem. Thanks so much for having me. It's always the best time.